Do you think I can build a brand from scratch in just 3 days? Hi, I'm Laia. I'm a brand designer, brand strategist, and content creator. Welcome to my channel. So it all started when I saw this brief from Let's Brief. I'd been wanting to create a more feminine and nature-inspired brand for a while, so I jumped at the opportunity to design for The Secret Garden. The brief was very clear. Hidden on a quiet cobblestone street, The Secret Garden is a flower shop that specializes in arrangements that evoke nostalgia and emotion bouquets inspired by love letters, memory-filled gardens, and secret rendezvous. The shop has become a beloved escape for those who believe flowers are more than decorations. They're keepers of love, loss, and longing. So the aesthetic they're looking for is lush, ethereal, and magical. So I'm so excited to see where this takes me and discover how The Secret Garden ends up looking. If, of course, I can do it in just 3 days. So after carefully reading the brief, the first step I always take when designing any brand identity is going into the strategy and creative direction. But since this is a passion project and going against all of my better instincts, I decided to skip the strategy part and move directly into the creative direction. Because as you can imagine, in this challenge, every second counts. So I started by creating a mind map with words that could be associated with the brand and could give me some ideas for the logo design and overall aesthetic. When developing one of these maps, I start with broad or more generic concepts and then extract more specific terms as the map progresses. I really enjoy doing this exercise because it allows me to find branding concepts much easier and create brands that have real purpose and a story behind them. So for The Secret Garden, I'm gonna go with the concept that people's feelings and emotions are always hidden, just like the shop. They tend to be guarded by a door, which is also usually in gardens, and it holds the essence of mystery and intrigue. So this is gonna carry throughout the mood board and obviously the brand identity. So the next step after a mind map is none other than generating a mood board. My go-to place for finding inspiration is, oh surprise surprise, Pinterest. But I've recently been loving Same.energy as well. As you can see, I went with a serif font to give it an elegant and ethereal look, but I combined it with a handwritten font to allude to secret love notes and evoke the emotion that flowers carry. I chose a green and red color palette to symbolize nature and passion. And then I saved a couple of moody images with high contrast. Finally, I chose rather imperfect brand icons so that the brand feels more personal and closer. Now that the creative direction is established, it's time to actually start designing. So I take my iPad and using Freeform, which is a free app that comes with Apple, I start sketching logo design ideas. So this is a very imperfect process for me because I create maybe not hundreds, but tenths of variations that mostly look pretty horrible. And I do this by hand rather than in Adobe Illustrator because I find it way easier and way faster just to draw anything that comes to mind, good or bad. And then after I have multiple concepts, I choose the best ones and I develop those into Adobe Illustrator. This way I don't lose time and I only focus on the concepts that have a future. So I'm gonna leave it here for today and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Good morning everyone. Yes, I'm wearing the same clothes just for continuity reasons. So yesterday I finished the day with the sketches for the logo concepts. So today I'm jumping directly into Envato Elements to source some typefaces for the logos. And if you're a designer, you know that this usually takes many hours. So I'm hoping I can get it done in just a few. Once I downloaded some fonts that fit the vibe, I wrote The Secret Garden with all of them so I could see how the brand's name would look and choose my favorite ones. Okay, so as you can see, I've chosen way too many fonts. So I'm just gonna start deleting the ones that I don't like. This, I feel like the serif is too much. Same with this. This is way too thick. This is thick, but I'm not mad about it. Like, I kind of dig that. This is thin. This is way too thin. This, I really like the R in here. This one, really pretty. But I feel like it's not mysterious enough, so I kinda have to delete that. This I also like. I used this in a recent project of mine, so I feel like I want to change it up a bit. So I'm gonna delete that, and then these two, I don't like them as much. So this font, for sure. Now let's go back to these. This I don't like. So I'm in between these three. After selecting a typeface, it was time to start developing the logos. Since I knew I wanted to include an illustration in the logos, preferably a door, I brainstormed and horribly drew a couple of concepts to make sure it was what I wanted. A watering can with flowers that I discarded because it was too obvious, a bench to symbolize secret rendezvous that I also discarded because I liked the idea of the door better. I liked the concept of the door because it symbolizes transitions but also holds the essence of mystery and intrigue, and just like the brand's values. So I went ahead and designed the real door to put into the logos. I then moved to the primary logo design, combining two fonts to give the logo more visual interest and play with the idea of writing your feelings down in paper. And then I added the door that I designed, which will be the most recognizable part of the logo. For the secondary one, I played with the shape of the door and the name of the flower shop to make it more unconventional. So I started by placing the secret garden in the path of the door, and I adjusted it until it was readable and eye-catching. And I have to say, I think this is one of my favorite logo variations from this project. For additional versions of the logo, I used the font Charlotte to write out the name of the brand and give it more emotion and the feeling of memories. I also like this concept because we usually write thank you cards or secret notes with our hands, so it was a symbol of the personal stories the flowers carry. I also created a super horizontal version of the logo, and then finally for the logo mark, I used the S of the secret garden to make an upside down heart, while still alluding to the intricate wires of the door that appear in the logo type. Having multiple logos will allow the secret garden to use their visual identity in a variety of sizes, materials, and surfaces, which is key for creating consistency and also generating trust among consumers. And if you're not convinced by having multiple variations of a logo, just think about this. Would this logo look good in a social media profile picture? Or would this icon have sufficient context for the viewer if seen on a massive billboard? Probably not. So you really need logos that are very similar but have very different uses. So yeah, I always create at least 3 logo variations for any client of mine, and if you're a brand designer, I really encourage you to do the same thing. With the logo suite completed, I developed 2 color palettes using 2 beautiful shades of green to symbolize nature and growth, and then 2 shades of pinkish red to convey passion and emotion. And I also added a muted yellow as the accent color because it added warmth and it reminded me of the center of some flowers and the pollen. Then I chose the font pairings. I always start with the primary typeface, which is usually used in the titles or subtitles. In this case, I went with Recoleta. I also chose a secondary font for the body text, and when choosing this, it's crucial that you keep legibility in mind because it's the font that's going to be used the most in materials, and I went with Atlia. And finally, a complementary font for little details, quotes, highlighted text, or other accent uses that keeps the font pairing interesting and conveys more of the brand's values. In this case, Charlotte. Okay, so this day flew by. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here for the day. I'm gonna go to the gym, unplug, and I'm gonna start early tomorrow because I have a lot of work to do still. And I really want to finish this in 3 days. Hello. So yesterday I finished the day with the foundation of the visual identity done. And so for those of you who are not into brand design, that means that I have the logo suite, the color palette, and the typography chosen. So I'm starting the 3rd day by designing the brand icons and illustrations. To do these, I used Procreate, which is one of my favorite iPad apps because it allows you to draw pretty much anything and then export it and vectorize it in Adobe Illustrator. So taking inspiration from my mood board, I started sketching the main brand illustrations, which complement the brand icons and gives the business more options. For example, if they wanted to create a website. I kept the illustration simple and with a hand-drawn vibe because I wanted to make the brand feel close to people, emotion-filled, and natural. So I designed a pathway, 2 vases, a letter filled with flowers, and gardening tools. Once the illustrations were completed, I started designing the brand pattern. In this case, I created some flower drawings to make the flower composition. I chose the pattern to have flowers because the brand's logos don't have any, so I wanted to give more context to the viewer in an indirect manner. And surely but slowly, we're making progress. So we move on to another very fun part of this process for me, which is finding the photography style and looking for images that reflect the brand's values and that go with the brand's aesthetic. And I tend to use Pexels or Unsplash for this because they have the biggest royalty-free image collection, or at least I think so. They have like thousands of images. So as you can see, I went with minimal pictures that had darker tones and less exposure to create that moody and mysterious vibe. So the last 2 things when developing a brand identity are the brand assets or collaterals and the mockups to see the brand in action. So since this is a passion project and I don't have any real deliverables, I started by making a list of all of the materials I thought a flower shop would need. In the Secret Gardens case, I went with a business card, flower notes, wrapping paper, a street sign, the flower care instructions, and social media posts. I kept the designs quite simple simple, but tried to incorporate all the elements in the brand identity so it looked coherent and rich. For example, in the business cards, I added the brand pattern, and in the care instructions, I included some of the illustrations. And for the last step, we move on to one of my favorite parts of this whole process, which is seeing the brand come to life through the brand in action. So that's it. I ended up working a lot of hours in a very short period of time, just 3 days. I'm genuinely so excited about this project because first of all, I had so much fun making it, and second of all, I think it turned out pretty great. So I'd really appreciate it if you could give me some feedback in the comments. Was this video useful? Did you like the concept? Did you enjoy this format? Or anything else you want to comment? And be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of my future videos. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!